Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. We are back with the Ames Series races here. We're at race number 3 today at Red Bull Ring in Austria with our Group 3 series. Welcome, yes. Everybody.
Welcome, whatever time of the day it might be, wherever you're watching, wherever you're racing from. Happy to be here. Happy to have you here. Pato, hype as fuck for race day, it seems like. Look at him go. Type of way, waiting for us to truly go live. Thanks for hanging out today, Pato. Looking forward to the MX-5 race last week. Speaking of MX-5's, last race was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a thing for sure. We had a lot of excitement there, and hopefully a lot of excitement today here with the Group 3 series. We have lots of familiar faces, a few new faces that have not really joined in on the Sundays here and there, as we're actually on one right now. Winter in his chromed out BMW, and someone who apparently is a fast driver, but we'll see how they end up competing and how they end up doing in qualifying and you know, so forth for the race. Looking forward to that, but I hear that rain may be coming into play for today's race.
I hear that rain will absolutely come to play. Yeah, you know, this racetrack is one of my favorites. I think we've talked about it before in a preseason race. So that rain will certainly lead to maybe some upsets, some incidents, if you will. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. I was just doing some practice laps earlier this morning, and yeah, it's especially around this track where, you know, high speed is super important and you want to be carrying as much speed into the corners as possible. When it gets properly wet out, you have to be braking so much sooner, lifting and coasting at the very least. So you're not able to brake as hard because you're just, you know, sliding at that point then. So
yeah.
It was an interesting feeling on the controller for sure as well. You know, getting used to, okay, how hard can I hit the brakes before I start sliding, and, you know, get that feedback as far as when the tires kind of let go. And obviously you can see it in game as well when you just start going straight instead of doing anything else. But I think it'll be a lot of fun to see, and hopefully we don't have too many drivers off into the gravel and whatnot. But who knows? Anything's possible in any of these races.
Yeah, I think, you know, turn one naturally, the start of any race, really, because it could be a point for some disasters. And, you know, I don't think we'll see that too much. Hopefully not. I think as our races are progressing, the drivers are learning more and more how to properly race with people, right? We have some people more experienced than others. And it's, you know, a bit of a learning game. But as we see Moose coming up on Sakia there, now we're still just in practice. But really anxious to see how this qualifying it goes when it gets underway.
Yeah, we are just finishing up here with practice, and Pat was just saying rain just means you get to go fast and sideways. That's definitely,
you're not wrong.
You know, you definitely you got a point there. And I gotta say, man, I know we always come back to the liveries real quick every race, but it's always enjoyable seeing the different things that these guys are coming up with. Especially some of the newer guys who, you know, we haven't been able to see so far. But we have Gilly here in the AMG, which has proven to be quick and reliable, and now, I mean, good looking before and good looking now with his kind of, I guess, you know, AMG Patronus.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Harry Potter spell real quick.
Yeah, no, it's looking sharp. It's just a clean color scheme, and I believe previous racer had made that for him. So yeah, looking sharp, and Giller is definitely going to be looking sharp on this racetrack, I'd imagine today. So far has been a master of tires and fuel conservation while still going quickly, and you get those 3 traits combined, and you're a pretty potent racer, you know.
Oh yes, I mean, you put all those things together, and you know, mix them up together, and hopefully get some quick lap times as well. And I just got to say real quick, someone that has been kind of putting those all together, I feel like, who's on screen right now, is Crispy, who over the course of the last few races, I feel like we've seen him steadily get, you know, further, having these better battles, whether it's in the back of the midfield, and someone who's hoping to clean up some points today in this full grid we have. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Crispy can do, as well as Demon, who's driving right in front of him, new livery for Demon as well. Again, someone who has kind of been a bit all over the place, it seems like. We've seen them fight up front a bit. We've seen them fight in the midfield. We've seen them fight in the back. So it'll be interesting to see as the rain starts coming down, and who pits when, who's keeping an eye on the forecast in game, and maybe can make a call to go to Inters early, and if they can kind of get the undercut on someone who maybe waits another lap or so.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes from confidence, right, to keep racing hard, especially if the rain's coming down, but a lot of it just comes from practice and using the user interface that Gran Turismo provides you, right?
Speaking of the user interface that Gran Turismo provides you, I'm looking at the interface that Lobby's made for us on his livery. M&M themed Rainbow Fanatec actually looks really weird. I think
Crispy made that for. Yeah. Crispy made that for him. It's looking good. Purple. If you happen to check his Renault, is looking fantastic today.
We have not gone down to purple yet. We are seeing Delps, arguably the best livery from Delps yet. I have to give it.
Hard agree. Hard agree.
Asking us every week for feedback, and here we are. I think this is the best looking one yet, bud. So we're getting there.
Yeah, keep it up. So I meant to say it before. I'm sorry, someone walked in the room, but we've seen a lot of really interesting qualifyings in Formula One recently. We did not get to watch today's race or qualify or sprint shootout. No, we watched the sprint race yesterday. We just didn't watch today's race. So no spoilers, please. But we've seen really weather give us some really good qualifyings in Formula One today, and I think if weather plays is a factor in today's qualifying and race naturally, it's going to be even more interesting.
Yeah, it can always kind of shake things up here and there. Oh, here's Purple's. Yes, I forgot he did this on the I forgot he did this on the RSL one as well. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it.
And we are starting qualifying in 5 minutes. It looks like maybe someone needed a few extra minutes. And Tony Cal just reminded the drivers, again, similar to Formula One, where if inters or wet tires are needed, no compound change is required. Normally, if you're on dries or slicks, we do require a compound change, which I think is really good. And honestly, I know Formula One is kind of experimenting with that too. I think it was last weekend we had 3 different qualifying sessions, 3 different tire types required, hards to mediums to softs in Q3, 2, and 1, or 1, 2, and 3. But yeah, it was really great to see, and again, love to see the different strategies going around the racetracks for aims. It's just something that, we're guessing every time. We're really guessing going into practice and qualifying and saying, so-and-so's going to do this, so-and-so's going to do that.
And sometimes we're really extremely wrong.
Exactly right. Sometimes we're very wrong. Part of that comes from our experience being on controllers, I think. If anyone has played on both, they can tell you that. Typically, I feel like tire preservation is not a forte of a controller player.
No, it's definitely a bit harder. Someone who seems to be doing a great job on controller, though, where is he? He's up the third.
Arctic.
I got to scroll all the way up here. Arctic, doing a fantastic job. Had a fantastic race last week with the MX-5 series. We were at Watkins, I think, right?
Watkins Glen, and that was just a masterpiece. If you didn't check it out, the VOD and highlights are up on YouTube. What a race that was.
Definitely
that was just amazing.
Definitely one to go check out. Mr. Garlic Buddha's in chat. What's up, GB? Check it out, stream. No?
Garlic butter. It's butter.
Are you sure about that?
It's definitely, come on. Why would you be Garlic Buddha here?
Well, what?
It's garlic butter for some garlic bread. Hey, wait.
Hey, easy there.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really fun race. Red Bull Ring is one of those where I don't want to say it's forgiving. I think even less experienced drivers can have a really good race around here. But those that are maybe more technically skilled can really make some good lap times come around here. As we see Tony Cal, he's had fastest lap through practice for a while now.
Yeah,
it's really good to see.
He's also been in practice, I think, arguably he is the lobby, opening up of the lobby, but we'll see. I know he's said before that his NSX maybe doesn't necessarily have the pace to be keeping up on these faster tracks, but I mean, he seems to be doing well so far. Also, someone that I'm interested to see doing well at this track is Moose in the 4C. Because again,
yeah,
I mean, we thought the same thing last race with him in the Alpha. That okay, well maybe I don't remember the car having that much pace on the straights. I'm sure it's a setup thing as well, but he did very, very well. So as long as he keeps the penalties down, as we see, everyone's like reminding themselves what track limits are here and everything else, which I think we're going to see a test of though with the rain coming into play for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the rain is really going to play. And if people didn't practice with the weather settings that we do give out a few days before, I think Friday, Thursday evenings or Fridays, they're going to be in for a bit of a surprise. And that, talk more about the rain and how people have to prepare for that. Typically, you have to brake earlier, maybe be easier on the gas. So if you don't come prepared on how to race in the wet, you are going to have a bad time.
Well, even Winter was saying before the race that there's some curb when it's maybe varying conditions on the track, some curbs he can take in the wet and then others just turn into ice basically. And if you get a wheel on the wrong curb, I know in particular the curb at turn 1, if you put a curb on or a wheel on that first curb on the left hand side, and then you try to go off, you make the round to turn 1, it can spell disaster. However, it looks like we're getting underway here with some qualifying. So, we saw Tony with a 128.3.
Yeah, it was a 128 and change in practice, and we'll see how that goes. Looks like good weather right now for qualifying, but you're definitely want to get a banker in. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, they're gonna have this outlap, and assuming I don't know if the rain's gonna play a factor in qualifying at all. I don't know if it's gonna be that long. I don't know if it'll be long enough. And these guys will definitely want to be getting those laps in the first 2 or 3 laps, and then hopefully getting it done and taken care of there. But we'll see what happens if the rain doesn't end up coming sooner than we thought. Then maybe those guys that don't have a good outlap and have to go back around one more time, then they'll be suffering a little bit. But we are getting underway here with our qualifying here at the Red Bull Ring, and just based off of the practice times, we'll see. I was hearing everyone kind of talking about 127, 128 during their weekly practice. I think before the weather was given out or decided, randomized, I suppose.
Yeah. So and again, it's tough sometimes. And we've experienced this ourselves where you don't have the exact settings correctly set up for your lobby, and things are different than what's allowed on race day. Tony Cow obviously came up with the rules and everything, as he is our sort of series, not leader, but constructor, I guess. And he's got all the settings dialed in, which is great for race to race. But we are experimenting with different penalty rates per track and tire and fuel wear. But right now we're back at our standard, our stock settings. We did change it up for our last Gr.3 race at Road Atlanta. And
no, I don't think we did.
No, not Road Atlanta. No,
you're thinking the Amex. You're thinking the penalties at Watkins Glen because they're
Watkins Glen was something else.
Heavy.
Holy.
Here though, I mean, if you're getting track limits here, you fully deserve the heavy penalty, I think. This track is wide enough that you can make the best use out of it. Obviously, we saw the race a couple weeks ago, the F1 race, where the FIA just had like 1,500 track limit incidents or something like that over the course of the race, and they had to decide the outcome after the fact. Obviously, that won't be an issue here because we don't have to do all that. But if you do see track limits, I can imagine it being the final 2 turns of the track at most, because you want to carry as much speed going into the main straight down the start end line. So we'll
I agree. It's again, the weather will affect that, but that's where even when I've raced around here, and again, I think personally I do pretty well at this track. But sometimes it just catches you off guard around those last 2 turns trying to carry that speed.
We'll see as Tony just puts in a 128.4. We're going to have everyone else behind him putting times in that we'll maybe be able to see. 133 from Winter, he's going to have to go again for sure. Gilly with a 129.0. So, okay, Tony having some pace right here, but that was the first best lap for a lot of these guys. They're going to be going again. Maybe someone had a penalty here and there. I know. I definitely saw a penalty for Winter there earlier. So, but
quite a few of the 130s right now.
Yeah, I mean Tony with these with his nerd delivery going pretty quick.
He's got a sugar rush going on, I think.
I think that might be fuel in the car. He's not on
exactly
he's not on
right.
E85. He's on sugar, right?
Well, it's corn, some way, shape, or form. As you know, we see it's interesting here too. Obviously, it's up to each player when they want to leave the pits, but we often do see still a lot of our racers leaving out in groups, and I don't know if maybe that's an attempt to get a tow on your hot lap or whatever it may be, but you know, it doesn't aid you when you're fighting people for track position or possibly getting into incidents with people, but hopefully we all keep it clean, especially for quality, as we know it's so important, as it looks like Mooseman's got a penalty serving just now, so that'll hopefully set him up for, he's going to probably do an outlap here in his Alfa Romeo 4C, looking great in his Spotify livery.
His spoofy livery?
His spoofy livery.
I gotta say, Demon up in third. Oh, never mind. Demon wasn't third. Winter has now put in a quick clap, moving him up to second above Gilly in his AMG. Just ahead of Gilly, though, 600ths of a second, so great job.
As Tony Cal spins off after turn one, thankfully he's still got fastest lap, but that will not help him here. I gotta treat the rest of this one as an outlap.
Delps, I did want to touch on Delps earlier, actually. Up in P4 currently with 129.8. He's someone who we saw, he posted a few of his practice times earlier, and or yesterday, something like that. And he had really, you know, we always talk about consistency, and he was just consistent after lap. Granted, he was, I assume it was in the dry and didn't have the weather like we're going to be having it here. But he's consistent, which is key. And it looks like the Ford may end up being a strong contender at this track, given its straight line speed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got that massive straight at the end, but a couple of short, smaller ones here as well. And again, the Ford is planted enough where you can definitely make it go around, unlike a lot of Fords. But, you know, I think it's going to be a good track for the Delps here, and hopefully they get to race in that midfield or maybe even fight for a podium, depending on how things go.
I've just had a thought about moving Fords around corners. You know, Mustangs in particular are infamous for taking out crowds. So
absolutely.
If you can just have a crowd of people at each corner at the apex, then maybe that's how you can make a Mustang really, really fast around a racetrack.
Well, you'd have to use dummies, naturally. It's unethical to use for people, Wally.
No,
I mean, come on.
Paddle just said, need some trackside spectators. The Ford fields at home and his track clubs. Paddle and
that's
I
not all over hidden.
That's what I'm saying. So, okay, Moose just puts in the quick lap. Arctic taking fourth away from Dopes. And Gilly down to fifth now. So Gilly was in second, but Tony Cal still holding first place as he's in the pit. Changing tires, he's going to go out for another fast lap here. We have Mooseman in the 4C. So again, two cars that we didn't think were going to necessarily have the top speed, currently running first and second against, I mean, I thought for sure the AMG might have the pace on them in this kind of this track, but who knows?
Yeah, well, Sector 2 really, it's not exactly windy, but those turns aren't necessarily easy. You know, you come after the tight right-hander, and then you have a pretty decent straight to go through, but then that following one where you're going downhill, you know, I think sometimes it upsets a lot of people because you expect to not have to brake as much as you end up having to. Mm-hmm. And then you're into the left-hander afterwards, again, downhill. Always seems to upset me, and I know a lot of people as well, until you get into the final bit of the track, which I think feels the best, personally. So, again, if you're just not going and getting those lines correctly and maybe over-braking because you're having to correct yourself, it's not going to be spelling out a super fast lap around here. But Giller's, we've seen Giller come up and perform and make podiums before out of lower places. But again, we still have some time left in qualifying. We'll see how everyone does. But definitely looking at Tony Cal, Mooseman, Arctic, Giller, and even Winter, who has proven to be quick already, despite us not seeing a lot of them so far this series.
No, but I mean, for someone who hasn't really been racing to be putting up times like that, that's, you know, a good indication, I would assume.
Absolutely.
That, they may be so. Now, granted, we don't know what the car's going to be like going through the rest of the race. I don't know what their setup looks like. there's someone who has talked a lot about setup and whatnot, so it seems like they know what they're talking about. We'll see if that actually is the case today with their first race with us here, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. We're going to move on down the grid real quick as we are getting through quali here. We've got about a minute left almost, and actually Arctic putting up the purple sector. But let's move on down real quick. We'll see if he's able to put together a festival up there. Gilly holding fifth pretty strong. I don't know if Delps is going to be able to take that place from him. Delps has some company on the track right now. I don't know if he's going on a hot lap or not. I hope not. Doesn't look like he is.
Sure doesn't look like it. As he's getting sloppy there on the exit. Very surprising to see that.
It's actually
coming at us so slowly.
It's an out lap for him, so he's all right. You know, you just want to. I mean, try to make some room for yourself maybe, but so Lava with a 129.8 moving him up a couple of spots here. Lava is someone who started the season off relatively strong, I thought. And
I thought so too, yeah.
I mean, you know, seventh quality right now is not. I mean, he's 500th off Delps, right? That's not bad. That's a pretty good place to be. Especially, there can be some chaos at the first turn. We all know what happens. So, you know, he might be in a position to take advantage of that instead of being mixed up with it a little bit. But someone that I'm surprised we're not seeing more from is Specs, actually. I expected to see my little Irishman up front with the rest of the crew, but I'm not seeing him yet.
Yeah, maybe that Jag, he's just not feeling too confident or comfortable to lay down some quick times. But, you know, we've seen Specs also be one to really make the best of a poor situation. Might not be fighting for podium, but Specs will come out of nowhere and then all of a sudden be in P4. You're like, what happened? You know,
that's true.
And another one, actually, you know, you just in front of Specs currently is Purple Urkel, who, again, we talked about the consistency, but really impressed me at our last race, I gotta say.
Yeah, Purple, I feel like, has been coming into their own a little bit here and maybe just getting a bit more comfortable with the cars and, you know, the traction and everything. So I'm excited to see how they do as well. I'm excited to see how everybody does, for sure. You know, we always want everybody to do the best and hope we not have any racing incidents that will cost them their race. You know, we want close racing and maybe a little bit of door banging, but nothing that's going to take anybody out. By the way, you are in, and you're going to be on the safety car, right?
I am. I'm driving the BMW today around Red Bull Ring.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to make sure.
I have not put up a quality time, but I'm going to be fastest lap, so don't you worry.
Let's see where Specs ends up here. I don't think he's going to be improving on his time, maybe. He's made me my words. Specs up to 6th. Excellent job with it. He had a little bit of the toe throughout that lap, so. But I mean, Tony Cow holding pole position throughout this entire quali.
Yeah, it was his first hot lap, really. That's amazing. That's amazing to see, but hey, you just hooked up, maybe hit everything just right. Obviously, we didn't see any inclement weather. Seeing Delps and Chad, traffic meant he could not begin another hot lap. Yeah, it sucks to see, sucks to hear. You know, it happens in real life. Obviously, happened in Sims. That's what we were talking about earlier, where it seems like, you know, of course, that was later on in qualifying, but people just leaving the pits all at the same time maybe doesn't lead to good positioning for qualifying. So going to be an interesting race for sure. I mean, Delp starting down at P7 again, maybe just enough to get out of the
also, I think that's a pretty good position, to be honest with you. I mean,
yeah, I think it's going to be a good spot to be
getting caught in traffic and whatnot. You know, you have some places you can make up and whatnot. So that's you're up there, which is great. Pat, I was saying my racing incident that cost my last race was I'm slow. That's something I know all too well as well. Talk about people that aren't slow though, real quick. Arctic with a really quick lap. I mean, I didn't get to see when he exactly put that in, but 900, you know, less 900ths off of Tony Cow, taking second away from Moose, as he's just kind of chilling. Maybe he's just taking a photo op right now.
I would not put it past
side
them.
Of the track. That's a really great job from Arctic. So we're super excited to see how the rest of this goes, as the boys are going to be finishing up any setup changes. We'll go ahead and take a look back at the rankings here real quick. So Tony Cow, pole position with 128.4. No one, and then Arctic with 128.5. Really, really close between those two. After that, we do have a bit of a bridge between Moose in third. We have Winter in fourth. Our first time seeing Moose, Winter rather, in the race. So happy to see that we have, another contender up in the top 5. Gilly taking 5th place home. Specs having a great final lap, pulling himself into 6th place. Delps impeded by a bit of traffic, but still 7th is a great place to start off. And who knows what's going to happen with the rain? That's going to cause a few things to happen. And Labu coming up 8th in his M&M's livery. We go on to the next page with our full grid. Demon in his 911 with a 130.008. Sakia taking 10th. I think that's a great job by Sakia. For someone who maybe hasn't had the best races in the past, that's a really, really good lap from them. I hope that they can kind of put together a few laps for the race and maintain some race pace as well. They took 10th away from Purple with a 130.334, followed by Crispy in 12th, just behind Purple. We have Steezy, who I think this is their first race as well, in his Milwaukee Ugga Dugga GTR, and then followed by Tyronus with a 131.0. And then Civ Gaming in the M4 safety car, going real slow there. Not really.
No. It's a common glitch. Every time I race on Sundays, it's a glitch. So what we're gonna ask is all the players just let me go up to the front. It was actually a 127.1 that I put in. So.
Oh wow, that's really
just
quick.
Put that up on the board.
Really, really quick.
Well, just built different, really.
Really quick for a safety car. Now we have safety car's stuck at 75 miles per hour. So to go on 127. That is, you're breaking the laws of time and physics right there.
I don't like to say I'm unlike Wendy's, but I do have to cut some corners to go that fast,
Wendy's has square patties.
Yeah, so they don't cut corners.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying...
So I said I had to be unlike Wendy's,
okay.
And I got to cut corners.
I see there. Yep. Okay, gotcha.
The best jokes are the ones you have to explain.
Yeah, well, I got some beef with you on that one, though.
I just given Tony Cal the all clear. You good?
I am good. Sorry, I have 2 keyboards in front of me, so I gotta reach over and type.
Alrighty, I will see you on the other side after I take care of my safety car duties, and I'll catch you all after the first lap.
Alrighty, as we see Ryan's gonna be leading yet another race. He's getting a lot of practice with leading a race for the first lap and then DNFing. Hopefully that doesn't happen when he actually jumps into a race car. We will be jumping into the race here momentarily. So, chat, let me ask, based off of the standings right now, who do we think is going to be in the top 3? Who's taking podium? Yeah, Paddle, you did. You led for 0.5 laps one time. You also had the opportunity to maybe do that, but instead you jumped the gun and got a false start. I personally think I would really like to see Winter on podium just because they're a newcomer. I think Moose always ends up having a really, really great race. So I can see them on the podium as well. But I'm not sure who's going to be taking first place. It's going to be hard to tell. Was the false start more embarrassing, Pato, or was the being in reverse more embarrassing? Jump into a race here. So we're gonna have about a 90-minute race here. as we see the safety car slowly taking its place. We'll give Ryan some screen time here in his BMW in the M4. So Tony Cal could very well end up on taking first. He's got the pace lap to lap. I can't remember exactly. I want to say that the NSX is pretty solid on tires and gas as well, but we'll see if he's going to be pushing to hold first place away from Arctic on the get-go here, so I'm sure he's going to be pushing all out. And again, we have tire changes that come into this strategy, and we'll change things up. And of course, once that rain starts as well, like I was saying before, I'm really curious to see if people are keeping their eye on the weather map in game. are they going to try and predict when that happens and try to maybe undercut people? You obviously don't want to go jump on the inters or full wets in the dry, but if they start seeing a little bit of rain, might be a good idea, and more coming, might be a really good idea to try and jump on that early and get ahead of the rest of the drivers. No one saw that being in reverse except me because I was starting last. That's true. The false start was the one that was on stream. But the fact that you told us about it now it means that we can go back to the replay, and I think we need to eventually make a bloopers or an opposite of race highlights video. What would we call that? An opposite of race highlights video? I'm not sure. All right, so if I actually put a prediction in, I'm gonna say Tony Cal podium, or Tony Cal first, Mooseman second, Winter third. Yeah, bloopers, outtakes, funny moments, yeah. Something like that. Okay, we don't want to see Ryan. We want to see this race getting underway as Ryan enters the pits. Our race leader, Tony Cal, will eventually start as we're coming around the final corner of the race here at the Red Bull Ring. Hopefully gonna have a close race for a bit as we see a little bit of door banging here. Everyone starts lining up, and we're off. Tony Cal gunning it, but Arctic having, again, yet another fantastic run. Pulling alongside for a minute, but tucking back in. Specs up to second, Specs up to first with a great run in. We get a little bit of contact possibly going into the first turn, but it looks like everyone is A-OK as Specs comes out from sixth, I think he was, or fifth, yeah, sixth, and he's up at the first. What a fantastic run from that man. I don't know what happened there. Tony Cal pulling up second, Arctic down to fourth, Arctic down to fifth. Wow, okay. We are getting quite the movement here on the grid. We see a few people go off. It looks like Moose ended up going off from the track. Tony Cal with a 1 second penalty. That is not what you want to see. But Specs loving to see it because that just means that he's going to be able to pull away and maybe make a bit of a gap. I don't know if Specs was sandbag. Tony Cal goes off with the gravel, slowing him down even more. That is not what you want to be doing. That's not how you go fast here. Specs pulling ahead. However, I gotta say, Winter keeping up. Winter now has a little bit of a gap between him and Specs, but he's gonna be closing in. And Winter had a faster time. Arctic had a faster time than Specs. Tony Cal back up in the mix though. It's like unfortunate, so didn't get slowed down too badly by the visit to the gravel. And I can't tell if he still has that penalty or not. But we're going to stay on board here with Specs as we cross, or as we go by in the final corner here. We're going to cross the start-finish line, going into the next lap here. That was an exciting T1. I'm glad to see that nobody, I don't think anyone really got ruined there. We'll see. We'll have to see if there's any, I couldn't exactly see the back of the grid, unfortunately. But you see here, Winter and Specs bumping a little bit here, getting friendly, that's for sure, as we're going to come up to this next turn here. This is a really slow corner, so if you have the inside line, it's like you have to go a little bit slow. I was going to say that you go a little bit slower, but Winter proved me wrong and just pulling ahead, just like that. That was a really, really, really good move by Winter. I'm impressed. And we now have our third race leader, as Arctic is still chilling in third right now, maybe kind of just waiting it out, gonna see how things go, not wanting to get too aggressive or any wheel banging, anything like that. So we have a small train here, I think for 5 places. Tony Cal and the Mooseman is trailing just behind. He definitely wants to try and catch up to the rest of the pack though, to catch up with some of that slipstream. I just noticed on Specs livery real quick that he had WLF on his livery. I'm gonna have to ask him about that because that may or may not be my initials. Very interesting.
All right, what did I miss here? It looks like Giller's down at P14.
Yeah, he must have had an incident with some. I didn't get to see what happened there. I saw Moose go wide at turn 2. But I saw Specs have an insane run on the race start, and he was leading the race for the first lap or so until Winter pulled ahead. Arctic pulls ahead of Specs now, so Specs down to third, Tony down to fourth. Tony actually ended up getting a penalty, and he was in the gravel a little bit at turn 3, I want to say. So Specs up to 3rd right now, but going a little squirrely there. It's been an eventful first couple laps here. We do have a small train going on 1 through 5, but we are also being spread here. I mean, Specs is 2nd down from Arctic, so you know that Tony and Moose want to get by Specs at this point. He's slowing them down. Tony on the inside takes that spot away from Specs, and Moose is going to have a run on Specs as well. So as Specs gets upset and maybe touches the gravel a little bit. I was just saying as he joined.
What did we say? Go ahead.
I was saying as he joined, Specs has WLF on the side of his car.
Oh, I heard you saying that. Interesting.
So I'm gonna have to answer about that. But so far, we had a tiny bit of contact, but so far, at least in the front here, some good racing.
Excellent. I was going to say, you know, what did we say about Specs? He was one to watch out for, and here he is up in P4.
Yeah, man. He had
out of nowhere.
He had a really, really good run. But so far, I mean, now there's that gap building. If we jump on board with Winter now, 2.5 ahead of Arctic, so in 2nd. And then even that Tony Cal closing the gap now to Arctic, but he's still just under a 2nd away, so we'll see what happens. We'll jump down the grid real quick, see what else is going on. Demon down in 6th. Just kind of, you know, already it's funny how quickly the drivers kind of spread out here, but if there's any sort of contact or anything like that, that seems like there was, then that could be why. But even right now, it's kind of in no man's land. Just want to put some hot laps in and keep the guys behind him far away and try to claw up and close the gap between him and Moose as we jump down. Phelps in 7th right now, he's where he started, so that's, you know, you can't really complain about that. He's got some gap to Demon, but we'll see how he's able to make that time up. He's got Tyronis, qualified, I think, in 14th. So Tyronis to jump up to 8th is pretty good. But if they're, like you said, if Gilly had to pit or you know, he had any damage or any incidents, that could have been a result from that. Race Team Marino, Mr. Marino saying, "Sup, y'all, have a good race. It's been fun so far. We're gonna see exactly what happens. I'm looking forward to the rain causing some chaos, to be honest with you, but we'll see what happens as we continue down the grid. Tyronis in 8th, and right behind him, Sakia was just serving a penalty, so Tyronis is going to be happy that Sakia's not right behind him, but now he's got the pumpkin man himself, Mr. Labu, in 9th. Sakia, though, right side by side with Labu. There might have been a bit of contact there as Labu was cutting in to make the final turn on this lap, and Crispy behind it in 11th is just going to be eating that spot up then, because he's just going to want to get closer and closer to try and make up.
Yeah, but look at Crispy. He's got damage on his front and rear end, so I wonder if he was just a sandwich or maybe something bad there. We do see a few people run with front end damage as well. Really looks like there was maybe a pileup or something. That does not look great.
No, that's not what you want to see. Yeah, we see Skeezy here with a bit of damage. I imagine we see Gilly as well. Front end, yeah, and then Gilly was in 5th at the start of the race, and Purple had such good quality for himself as well. So
yeah, Purple wound up behind Giller at some point. I think they may have went off track though, because when I checked last, Giller was back. It surely is going to be raining, Marino. I hate to tell you, but that's what looks like the weather patterns that Tony Cal had. I don't believe he picked them out, but it's more of a randomly generated weather that he's set up for us today. So it's going to be interesting for sure. It's going to be a race, and it again can very well change things very quickly.
Yeah, I fear that we're gonna have quite the stewarding session after this. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that race start is always a bit tricky too, especially though surprising with a rolling start.
Well, I don't think it happened in the first. I think it happened at the second turn.
Yeah, as Yuma joins in. Hello there, Yuma. Yeah, Winter finally can make it to a race. Qualified in, I believe, P3 and is up in first now. The Arctic is not far behind, and there you see Tony as well. So it's gonna be heated battle, and now there is quite a gap now between Tony Cal in P3 and Specs in P4, who worked himself up from the back of the pack, really making out cleanly. Moose does not seem to be having a good time right now. I know they served a penalty last lap, but he's got some work to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, I believe Winter is in VR. At least every time that they seem to post about racing, they're in VR. But I also know VR seems to have its downsides as far as not all the UI elements are there that maybe you want to see. So I remember Winter saying at one point that like they had a second screen somewhere with information, I guess like an iPad or something like that, with the tire temps and whatnot, and they could just like lift up their goggles real quick, their VR goggles real quick on a straight to look at the data and then continue racing. So, you know, to each their own. It sounds like fun, it looks like fun, but so far this race has proven to be difficult for some more than others. These three up front right now are having a good time. It looks like they have successfully pulled away from the rest of the pack. We're going to jump down with Specs, who's pulling a fourth now, who had a fantastic run into first, and unfortunately now has settled into fourth. Looks like Moose also settling down into fifth here. So they've got some distance between them and the top three.
Yeah, I'm looking in the back here. It looks like Tyrone has served a pretty big penalty, put them down to 14th. Crispy has spun out, I think, of the last corner, relegating them down to P13. And then because of Crispy's spin out, it gave Purple a really good run on Giller, who they're turning up now to the second to turn 2, and maybe Purple will be having a look at them. But Giller's doing a good job. Oh, he just gets a love tap from behind, maybe? Or maybe that was some lag, I'm not sure. But Giller's doing a good job to try to make up some spots and close the gap. And again, I would never say that you can't count on Giller to make an appearance later towards the podium.
No, but this man's got his work cut out from him. I mean, obviously there was an incident that we didn't get to catch on camera, on stream, in the beginning that caused him to go jump, you know, get affected so brutally. So we'll see what happens. I hope that he's able to get back into it. Obviously, you know, he's not pitting for the damage, so it's either not affecting him too bad, or he's just saying, I'd rather just get the laps in while I can right now, but instead of pitting and being, you know, a minute behind everybody else. Speaking of running with damage, Crispy always, I mean, really, I want to say really bad luck, because it seems like Crispy's always affected by someone punting him off or something else or what. But you know, he's got a lot of damage and he's still running it. I don't blame him for not wanting to stop, but at the same time, like, you're obviously losing some pace, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunate too, because Crispy is he's on the soft, so I mean his tires are gonna give out, but look at all that damage is glowing around. At this point, I'd say cut your losses and come back later. Maybe they're hoping on for weather change and to get an early pit onto intermediates perhaps, and you know, but at this point I think it's he's pushing it. But we also know Crispy is a very late pitter. Will do anything to not pit and, you know, go stretch his tires, stretch his gas as long as possible.
Yeah, he hates
saying, I know my car, but there he is having a moment. And a second ago, as you know, responding to chatters, Race Team Marino, yeah, I run VR. You don't get that much data. It's really unfortunate that we don't get a lot of data in VR, because it seems like I would love to play that way, but you need your data. And Yuma, Gilly is indeed running the livery you made for him. It's really well done.
It looks really good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. The looks like Winter may have had a moment, because Arctic is now up in first, and Winter is 3 seconds behind Tony Cow. So once again we have a new race leader in Arctic. Arctic being someone who has led races before and then just runs away. So
it's a dangerous position to let Arctic be in, honestly. And now I don't know how that Peugeot really is going to behave, but it's Arctic behind the wheel again, somehow on a controller, being as quick as they are. On the controller, absolutely amazing to see. But I feel like I do a pretty good job on my good days, and then I see Arctic, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's great, thanks.
There's clearly more pace to be had on the controller, but
Arctic really makes that Peugeot go.
Okay, well, it's been a fun stream, everyone. Yeah, but, you know, I meant to say before when you brought up Winters probably had a moment, or maybe even had to serve a penalty. Specs now definitely wants to be working up some speed and to close that gap to Winter. You know, kind of give them a shoe, or they could work together to close the gap to the people in front of them.
You would hope, but I mean, Winter's got just about a, he doesn't have a whole lot of fuel left. Those tires look like they're doing okay. That'll definitely make the rest of his fuel. Unfortunately, another penalty, half second penalty for Winter. Like I said, those last 2 corners, man, is I think where we'll probably see the most of the track limits.
Yeah, I have to imagine that's going to be the case.
That will allow Specs to catch up a little bit, but he's still got 4.5 seconds on him, so it's not going to do too much for him.
I'll tell you what, I'm locked in the back here. Giller is up to P10.
Giller, let's go, Giller.
Now it's amazing to see they're on softs. Their softs are gonna outlast their fuel tank at this point.
Sorry, I'm having trouble figuring out my camera button here. I wanted to jump on board real quick with Moose, who was catching Specs real quick, but unfortunately no longer. So we'll see. We'll jump back on board with him in a moment here. But as we jump down with Gilly and we'll change cameras again, I really wish I need to make a note of these hotkeys there. But
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, good job to Gilly to be up at 10th. I have to give it up to I gotta give it up to Sakia. Unfortunately, track limits, but holding 9th place for now and catching Labu. It seems Labu may have had a moment. I'm not too sure, but this is looking like a different Sakia from the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm loving to see it. I hope they don't get in their own way again. Unfortunately, last week's race, they did something. They didn't crash, but they did something else that really cost them their race. You'll have to check it out on YouTube to see. But it was quite something that left my head scratching for a while until we got a direct answer from them after the race. But it's good to see. It's good to see maybe people saying, I want to be better. I got to keep practicing, put in time, or, whatever the case may be. It is interesting to see the amount of track limits, though, that we're seeing. For example, not Mooseman. Winter just served another one. You mentioned Kia had one. Tyrone has got another one. So we're definitely seeing people fall victim. And we've got quite a bit more racing here to do. I don't think it's the last of it that we'll see, especially, again, if and when the rain comes.
Absolutely. We're going to jump on board here with Purple, who may end up choosing to have a run here on Steezy. I'm interested to see how close he's able to stay as we go into T1 here. And looks like both cars are going to have both drivers have a good turn in. And of course, Purple driving the Renault that I like to drive as well. So always interested to see how a fellow Renault driver does here. But Steezy looking like he's pretty comfy in that Nissan. Able to keep 11th place away from Purple for now. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on these two, sure.
As you're back there, Mooseman again was right on behind Specs. Had to serve a second penalty. Maybe just push it a little too hard, Moose. As we are starting to see some people come into the pits here.
Oh yeah.
Their fuel is running low. It looks like so they're pushing hard. Yeah, Yuma Sakia's livery does look pretty clean. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, agreed. Yuma, it's a shame that you're not racing, but I have to say I'm just glad that number one, you make good deliveries, and if you enjoy doing that, then more power to you. And you have more time for it now, which is awesome. And I'm just glad that we still have full grids. This is really exciting to see. I would hate to see like 8 drivers there, but I wonder, Arctic's clearly got to the pit now, right? I mean,
yeah, Arctic's on softs. Their fuel is low. They did wait one more lap from Tony Cal and everyone. A lot of people started on softs this race, so I believe Arctic's going to have to come in. Maybe they tried pushing one more quick lap,
Yeah, I don't blame them. Track position is track position, and currently 35 seconds above P2, so they'll end up ahead of Tony Cal. I believe. I think. Well, it depends how much fuel they take on board, right? I'm actually curious to see if we jump on board with one of the few of the guys that have pit. Tony Cal is pit. He's on softs again, so he refueled to full. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that a few times, to be honest with you. Winter Winter also pit. He is on softs again, full. Gilly up to 7th, though he still needs to pit. How does Gilly do this with the tires?
I don't know. Literally the tire whisperer, I'm telling you.
I don't understand. And with the damage too, like.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, obviously, when he does have to pit, he's gonna fall behind it again. But someone who's, he's able to make these tires last like nobody else. I feel like so. He he's able to. He's going to be able to make up time really, really well. I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. I think also it looks like most everyone that started on the softs went back on softs. Tyronis did start on the mediums and went to softs, getting in that required compound change, but also maybe feeling like they want some more pace. And, if they can make those softs last as long as their fuel load, why the hell not would you go on softs?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's I don't see why you wouldn't either. As we see Arctic ahead of Labu and ahead of Tony Cal. So let's jump on board with Labu real quick. Arctic is second ahead of Labu, who has yet to pit. I mean, Labu's just got out to pit probably this lap, or I don't know if he'll be able to squeeze another lap. I wouldn't chance it. I feel like I wouldn't want to gamble less than another lap. I would pit after this lap, which means Tony Cal is, he's got about 4 seconds, almost 4.5 seconds to catch up to Arctic. So great job by Arctic to keep that position and keep that gap relatively. I mean, 4.5 seconds is nothing to scoff at by any means.
No, not at all. I mean, I think they'll be able to close it perhaps, but you don't want to let Arctic go too free. And I think that though people already were getting lapped before Arctic pit, so traffic will very much play a hand in this.
That is unfortunate that back markers already getting lapped. But again, if they had incidents, it's not like a few people might have gone off track on their own accord, or like we said, what happened on lap 1. Things do happen, as we see Labu entering the pits, and Tony Cal now just unfortunately getting a track limits penalty, but he just definitely wants to try and push to catch up to Arctic. And we have Winter in third behind Tony Cal, but again, he's got some time to make up as well, so they can't even necessarily help each other out and work together to catch up. Gilly, though, in 4th track position currently, he's going to have to pit soon, but he's making up the places right now. I wish that we could see a full list of the difference between the spots right now, because I'm really interested to see where Gilly ends up coming out after he pits here. He's going to probably take care of that damage. I can't see him not taking care of it, so that'll tack on a few seconds, but...
Yeah, I got to agree, but look at them. I mean, they're really getting 2 to 3 laps past the first people who pit. And with damage and pushing, it's amazing to see.
Whew, Specs having a turn in on Gilly. Gilly obviously on old tires, used tires, and he goes a little bit wide in that turn. I don't know if he was pushed at all. Specs hot spot making him look like a rubber band, but that pass was going to happen anyway. Maybe he said, I'm not going to bother fighting it. He's on fresh tires and everything else. Obviously, you can see when other people are pitting on your UI through. At least he doesn't know what tires he's on, but he knows he's on new tires.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if something's just not worth fighting, he can get a bit of a tow here from Specs as well as, I'm sure we're going to see Giller coming into the pits now. He doesn't really have much of a choice. Yep, so taking that tighter line. You just have to take what you can get. And
as he was turning in there, I couldn't even see a blip of red on his fuel gauge. So we shall see what happens. So we're on board with Moose, who I think you were racing the safety car. You were driving the safety car for the formation lap, while I made a prediction for the race. I said Tony Cal first, Moose Man second, Winter third. And I've seen Moose come back from further. Moose has been one of the more consistent drivers, I feel like, and while he gets some track limit penalties, he's always fast. But right now, holding down 5th, he's got a big gap to Demon in 6th, but Specs is going to be looking in the rearview mirrors here in a couple of a lap or two, I feel like, and Moose can probably take 4th from him. But it'll be interesting to see where he ends up at the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think anything is up for grabs, but no one can really deny that Moose is a rapid driver. And again, as we see Tony Cal is going to have to serve a 1 second penalty. Everyone's getting them, really. So anything is up for grabs. Something catastrophic can happen. Of course, we don't wish that. But who knows? You may very well be wishing, hey, I hope the guy that I'm really fighting ends up sending me to a wall or turning real wide, and it may work out for them. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and we're jumping on board here with Delps real quick. In 7th place, looks like they did pit And I have to imagine this Ford is really, really thirsty.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they pit. Oh, they started on mediums. Those are the same mediums. They must have had to just pit for fuel, which we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
It looks like the fuel is basically staying with the softs that people are driving.
For the most
matching
part,
out nicely.
But we are. I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen Delps in particular refuel and keep the same harder tires on, right? Mediums are hard.
Yeah, and Demon, I think, is on the same strategy right now. They started on the mediums, and it looks like they probably refueled. They're, up to you what you really want to do. We'll see how it plays out for them. I mean, they're in P6 and 7 right now, and they may have to, but they're still pitting, right? And we know that fueling up typically is more time-consuming than the actual change of the tires.
Yeah, absolutely. Here with a 2-second penalty. Yeah, no. It'll be interesting to see what tires are used in the rain. I don't know how hard it's supposed to rain, so I imagine if people are keeping the eye on the weather radar, you can kind of see where the intensity coming in. But I assume most guys are going to want to try to go on the inters first. But at the same time, if you see heavier rain coming in, right, you want to waste the pit stop by going on inters just to then go on full wets. I don't know, but. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. No rain yet. We're 18, 17 laps in, and no rain just yet. So it'll be coming at some point. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Yeah, not even a cloud in the sky. It's still very sunny on track. And again, that's the important thing to notice too. Is even if we don't get rain right away, but we get more cloud coverage. The softs maybe won't be as good because the track temperature is going to be going down. If we get cloud coverage, which usually comes before rain. So we'll see. Those people in the medium tires, I think it's an interesting strategy. I don't know that it really pays out in the long run to stick with a harder tire and keep having to stop to refuel. As we see a good fight on board right now between Steezy and Purple, it looks like, coming down the main straight.
This is going to be side by side going down at T1. We'll jump. Let's see. I can't rotate. That's unfortunate. We'll jump up over Purple real quick. And hopefully no contact. I don't think there was any contact.
I didn't see any contact either. It looks like a clean overtake from Steezy, though.
Yeah, I mean, that was a solid job. And I feel like maybe Purple almost had to concede the position a tiny bit. He was on the inside, but he just couldn't get ahead. And, so he kind of backed out. But Steezy...
Oh, no, but here's Steezy going... Oh, giving Purple the perfect run. He's right behind him on this mini straight we have here. Again, you can make it or break it on this next turn coming up. Again, it's going downhill. It's kind of, I feel like it cuts the angle quite hard that you do have to turn in. But if you get this line right, it just hooks up and feels so good.
Some people like the wider line here, but they both kind of take the same line. Purple still right behind, and we're gonna come into this left-hander where it's very easy to take too much speed in here and go wide. But,
much too easy.
I mean, great job. Listen, Steezy.
Look at this. Purple on the inside. Oh, Steezy's got to hold on to it. Yeah. Oh, as they're looking like little elbows out there. Purple getting ahead here. That's going to be crucial.
We are trading spots once again. We're going into the tail end of this the track here, though, and this is where Steezy took Purple as he goes a little wide, though. That's going to beat track limits, I imagine. And unfortunately, that's just getting a bit squirrely.
Steezy again going wide there. Yeah, that's it. That's giving Purple the space now. Now we may be seeing another brave turn 1 from Steezy, but that half-second penalty is going to come back to bite them in the behind.
That is unfortunate, but that was good lap and a half battle right there. These two look like they're going to be relatively close. It looks like, so hopefully they can kind of keep. I mean, again, you kind of want to work together here, but at the same time, they're kind of far from 10th. And I say kind of, I mean 17 seconds. So, hey, if you want to have a battle, go have at it. We see Steezy going wide again, though, at the turn. Is he going to get another track limits penalty? I don't think so. But, who is going to benefit from this is Crispy, who looks like he did repair his damage. I don't think he refueled. Maybe he had to have refueled for sure, actually. He's on mediums.
Yeah, maybe just not all the way. Maybe they wanted to experiment with the mediums. I'll tell you what, though, who's going to be hurting with these penalties right now? Tony Cal. Arctic is already over 6 seconds ahead of them, and Tony Cal has got a 1.5 second penalty. It's just that's not going to feel too good, and it's going to give Arctic another sigh of relief. You know, just able to relax a bit more and just focus on the driving. And he's got no competition right now behind him.
Yeah, Arctic is living easy at the moment. He's got really actually good fuel, good tire wear. I mean, he's happy right now. He's a happy camper, I suppose.
Happy, hydrated, in his element. I mean, really. And meanwhile, we could see Moose and Specs in P3 and 4 and 3 respectively. Still this fight going on. Moose unable to get past Specs in that Jag. It looks like that Jag has got some legs.
4 of them, probably.
I would hope so.
It's the Alpha, though, keeping up. This car has always felt nice to me. I think I've said this the last time we saw him in the Alpha, but great job by both drivers. It looks like, you know, I mean, we haven't been able to be on board with him the entire time, but we'll stay on board here with Moose as we turn another lap here at Red Bull Ring, and he's getting ever closer to Specs' rear end. He pulls alongside. He's gonna have the inside line here. He pulls ahead, and he's gonna take his corner. He may be going slightly wide. He goes wide. Is Specs gonna be able to take this place back?
They're having a drag race. They're having a drag race here.
A half-second penalty.
Oh, for Moose going wide on turn 1, it looks like. As Winter in front of them also has a second and a half penalty, they need to quit fighting and work together right now to close that gap, I think.
Listen, man, it's track position that they're fighting for right now, too. I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's a hard decision, I imagine, when you're in the middle of the race, you're in the dogfight, and it's just like, you know, you want this position. It's hard to think about someone else ahead. And oh no, as we see Specs maybe going a little bit wider than he wanted to. Maybe it was just the lag making it a little worse than it was. It looks like he was going to go into the gravel there for a second.
Unfortunate for Moose, though, not just a half-second penalty from turn 1, but now a 1.5-second penalty will absolutely be giving that spot right back to Specs.
That'll be giving that spot to Specs, and it'll be giving Moose some ground to then make up. And he's going to be, you know, unfortunately, I mean, he's not going to have anyone to help him out there except himself. We see Moose give up the position. He says, all right, Specs, I will see you later. So we'll see what this gap ends up turning into. 1 second or so.
Unfortunate for Moose, I mean, because they're just going to have to redo all that work. They keep getting so close, and something happens where they just can't get it done.
Moose is making me eat my words about him being second.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, we're not even half race distance yet. And we've got a long way to go. Mr. Labu in the back here has come up from, overtook Delps for P7, hadn't served a half-second penalty, so I wish I saw what had happened, but I'm surprised to see Mr. Labu keeping that position. Good for them, looking like they're having a good race here. And Giller slowly but surely trying to work his way up. Still in P10, but nursing those softs quite well.
Yeah, Mr. Labu still looks like he has that second half penalty, so...
Yeah, as I see Arctic now pulling up on Tyronis. Tyronis getting the blue flag for Arctic. Curious to see the back markers. Okay, good. Tyronis gives up the space for Arctic, and Arctic will be working their way up. That's through the traffic in the back.
You know,
really curious to see.
Yeah, there's some good battles today so far. There's unfortunately there was some incident at the beginning. I don't know if you were watching the first couple of laps, but it's shaping out so far. Gilly, I think may have been Gilly may have been the worst affected by whatever incident happened. We didn't get to see it on stream, but we'll be checking it out for sure. But yeah, we're just checking out Sakia and appreciating their delivery while. You know, they've got Gilly behind, and we know Gilly's quick. But so far, you know, he's just trying to make do with what the hand he was dealt, unfortunately, with that incident in the first couple of laps here. So, why is it a default for that? I didn't want to do that. So, it looks like the sun is setting here on the track. Maybe a bit of cloud coverage. It's looking a little bit hazy almost as the sun is setting. Maybe we'll start getting some spits of rain here. I really wish that I was able to change the weather radar while we're spectating here.
Yeah, I wish that we could see that rather than a useless track map. But I'll tell you what, Mooseman did get past Specs. So just like that, just like we thought, he was going to have more work to get past him finally. Moose is ahead of Specs. I think Specs mowed some grass after turn 1, which really gave Mooseman the run towards turn 2. So it's good to see all that work paying off. Mr. Labu, I saw before, also got another penalty, still up in P7. Delps now has got a second penalty, so that'll just help reserve it. Giller, though, really close now up on Sakia. Giller's ready for P9, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's hungry, man. I just wanted to comment on the Jag that Specs is running. I tried driving that thing, man, and I do not like it one bit. It feels heavy and sluggish, and like, kudos to Specs for getting some stuff out of her, getting some performance out of it. My first couple of laps, I don't know, this is not for me, man. It's not the car for me.
I have not given it a shot yet. I did want to since I saw Specs change to it, though.
It feels considerably different than the 4C, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, the 4C seems nice and light to me versus that Jag. It certainly does not look too light and springy. We're seeing Giller likely to make a move here on Sakia shortly. The AMG bros, both on the same tires. Sakia about a quarter tank lower than on fuel than Giller, but Giller's coming down the main straight now as you're watching on board with Giller. And I don't know if he'll be close up to make a move here, but we'll sure be on the lookout.
Giller's someone who doesn't seem, at least from the onboards that I've gotten to see from driving as he gets ever closer to Sakia here, doesn't seem to make risky moves. He's someone that seems to be patient and measured, and he waits. He says, you know, all right, we're going to wait for my time, as he has the inside going up this turn, and he takes 8th place from Sakia. Sakia,
beautifully done,
has a wider line. We'll see if they end up drag racing here down this next straight. We'll jump on board with Sakia. But it looks like Dave is, or Giller is going to hold that position for now. We turn into this little down here, kind of banked turn here, and again, some people like a wider turn there. Some people go take a little bit more on the inside, and it looks like Gilly may have done a little bit of column B there, but he is just increasing this gap now, almost coming up on the second gap. And you know who he's catching? He's catching our resident Ford driver, Delps, our resident Luxembourgian. Is that
Luxembourgian? I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure, man. But yeah, Gilly trying to make some moves, man. Trying to make up a few places here and there. And well, yeah, like you said earlier, Delps had a penalty, and that's just giving Gilly the chance to pull up on him as he's getting under a second. I mean, oh wow, Gilly's getting the move here now. We'll jump back on board with him, see if we're able to see anything coming. Delps braking very hard, trying to take cover that inside line, but that's just gonna leave Gilly the chance to get even closer as we're coming up to the same turn that he overtook Sakia. They're side by side. Gilly, it has the pace. He takes the position from Delps. Let's see if Delps is able to respond or answer back at this turn. It looks like he handles that nice uphill turn nicely. Let's see if he's able to do anything. Like, Gilly is just walking away in his AMG.
Absolutely, he's on much fresher tires, and as much as Delps' car might be lighter because of the fuel, I think Delps would be wise to pit after this lap, at the end of this lap, and throwing some softs. You know, we did just see a lot of people pit as Arctic is now in the pits. It looks like it's time. You know, it's really funny. I saw a Demon, I think, started the trend, and people said, you know, yeah, I guess it's time for a pit. A lot of people already pit. A lot of softs out there. Looks like it's really the preferred tire still. It's doing work out there.
So again, we see Tony Cal pitting just a lap or two, I guess 1 lap prior to Arctic. But Arctic now out of the pits sooner than he did the first time and having still a bigger gap. So Arctic just being able to walk away now once again. The gap is,
I guess,
wow.
11 seconds. I mean, I don't know what they can do at this point. It's and I hate to say that, but Arctic is just proving how quick of a racer they are. And it's not like Tony Cal or Winters or even Moose are slouches.
Not by any means. I mean, it's just a matter of, I think I haven't gotten to see Arctic. We haven't really been on board with him too much just because he's in no man's land. But, you know, is he getting a lot of track limits penalties? You know, if you get a track limits a half a second every other lap, or, you know, as they're trying to push, it adds up, right? So now, you know, we're over 11 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. This man just wants to continue turning laps.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it again, time and time again, where Arctic is just able to keep those clean laps going. The consistency, I mean, really, the 128s, 129s for the most part, it looks like just clean consistency and not getting track limits, and that's the most important part, because we've seen even the other front runners have their fair share of penalties around here. As it is getting darker on track, maybe some drivers are looking to get the most out of those softs while they last. Mr. Labu, though, Labu's consistency, they will have to pit for fuel soon, but they're currently up at P5. Must feel good for them to be back up there.
Yeah, at least for now, they're paying these front runners a visit and say, "Hey guys, remember me? I'm still here." And he's someone who that he's proven to be quick in that McLaren, and that McLaren also seems pretty well. It seems like it's good on tires and relatively good on gas as well. I know a lot of the cars seem relatively the same on, but that's one that seems to stick out to me. As well as Gilly in the AMG seems to be able to make the most out of the resources of the car. So specs in the Jag, I mean, he's gonna get the position either way, but he's on fresh tires. He's got more gas. He's gonna want to try and catch us as soon as possible, and maybe use a bit of the tow from Wabu before Wabu pits to try and catch up to Moose in fourth.
Absolutely, but who's not too far, about 3 seconds behind Specs, is Gilly in that AMG, looking just fine. Again, they will have to pit again for fuel. They got about a quarter tank left, but absolutely crushing it. I, again, do not put them out as a contender for top 5.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen when we are waiting for the rain. We do see some cloud coverage coming in here. I'm gonna start doing a rain dance here if we don't get any rain soon. We're still under the halfway point, but not by far. Actually,
absolutely,
not by far.
And I see, I'm curious now because we did note that Giller is absolutely killing it, Marino. There is no tire compound change required if you have to end up being on intermediates or wets. So I think what a lot of these drivers are doing is just taking advantage of that most likely imminent threat of rain eventually, or not imminent, but eventual threat of rain, and sticking with the softs. Steezy and Nix went from soft to mediums, and I just don't think the mediums are really doing it. As we see Labu in the pits now, I'm curious to see what they'll come out on. Delps even listened, whether listened to us on stream or had the same strategy as us, but went from mediums to softs, as well as Demon. They both started on the mediums, so. Again, maybe Steezy this Nick's not thinking about the rain, just saying, I'll get the tire compound change done with, or saying, let me try something else.
Well, it could very well just be a tire strategy to try and outlast some of the other drivers on the grid. And especially depends on where you qualified, right? If you qualified a bit further down the grid, maybe or in the middle, you want to be on those harder tires to try and gain some track position while the others are pitting ahead of you because they were on softs. Or, we've had races before where it said it was going to rain and it was supposed to rain, and then the rain never came. Now, it sounded like it was going to be a for sure thing here, and we do still have half the race to go. It looks like it's going to be coming down, but we'll see what happens. So, maybe he just wanted to get it done with and said, all right, cool, that's fine by me. Or it was a strategy call. Who knows at this point, but I hope it starts raining soon. That's all I'm going to say.
It's looking like it. You can see the clouds in the distance. It's looking very gray on stream right now. Steezy Nix coming out of the pits right in front of Crispy and Tony Cal. So both Crispy and Steezy Nix, while trying to not give up their own race, are going to have to give the spot to Tony Cal and try to hinder their own progress as little as possible. Come on, gents. Be civil here.
Well, that's unfortunate, too, because they're kind of in the racing line, and this is not what Tony Cal needs or wants, is to get stuck behind these two drivers. They obviously know who's in what position, right? But it's also hard to do as they're racing, and you're trying to fight. You can't exactly talk to the other guy and say, hey, I'll lift for a couple of seconds while you lift at the same time, and then we can continue racing.
Yeah, exactly right. And Steezy also only pitted for fuel, which is really what gave them that opportunity to come back out. So who knows? Maybe that medium is going to work out for them just because of that.
So it looks like Tony Cal has gotten past Steezy, whether that was just by driving merit or Steezy let him by. But that's also kind of going to slow him down. And now that Tony Cal sandwiched between the two. You hope it does, you really don't want that to affect anyone's race, but it looks like maybe CZ just having a bit of a hard time, and you know, Crispy's going to be enjoying that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, Crispy here just has to give Tony Cal position. Maybe not have it a lift. You know, it's pretty easy on a straight to give someone position, in my opinion, or just get off the racing line around a bend. But as we see Tony Cal now getting past that traffic, that was a long time to be stuck behind 2 cars for traffic, I'll tell you. And he was right up behind them. Yeah. So that's really going to impact his race a bit.
Unfortunately, but I gotta say kudos to Crispy for like where Tony passed him, and you know, you think that maybe he was able to get in the slipstream, but Steezy is still right behind him, so he can't breathe easy just yet. I am gonna jump on board with Tony real quick, just to see 16 seconds now between him and Arctic. Now I don't know how much of that was impacted by being behind Steezy and Crispy.
I'd say it had to be impacted at least by a couple seconds. I think
we didn't get to see what the timer was beforehand, but when Arctic got out of the pits, it was what, 11 seconds?
Yeah, that's right. It was an 11-second gap, so I don't think it was 5 seconds in that lap of him trying to get past them, but definitely didn't help him. And I don't even remember how many laps ago it was, but remember when we said Dave Giller, I should say, had about a quarter tank of gas left?
That's right.
They just came out of the pits.
Wow.
They made it last quite some time. Again, as the headlights are turning on, the track is darkening. We are going to start seeing some damp, moist, wet conditions, whatever adjective you prefer for it. But Giller down in P8 after pitting. Really solid race for them right now. I'm stoked for them.
I'm going to have to give Giller my driver of the day as we see Steezy go a little bit deep into turn 1 against Crispy. I don't think there was any contact there. Again, it's hard to tell this cockpit view, man. For the people that are driving a cockpit view, man, I gotta give you credit because it is hard to see what you're doing.
It truly is. I want to be able to race in cockpit view, but I just can't do it. If I was racing in VR, I think it'd be another story. Steezy getting sloppy on that exit on the gas, a little too hard, too quickly. It looks like just giving Crispy that space, but we'll see how it works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, Crispy looking pretty comfy right now in his, well, these two are both driving the GTR, yeah?
Yep, that's right. But behind them is Winter. You see that blue flag on your screen. So they're going to have to get out of the way there. And Moose, I think, is right there as well.
Moose is right behind. He's got to have second penalty, unfortunately. And, you know, he's going to be kind of happy right now if that Winter's got to get by these two. But he's also going to have to get by these two after serving the penalty, so unfortunately
yeah, he'll just have to. Yeah, he's going to have to go around a bit more, especially with that penalty, though, to get past him. I'll tell you, though, I think we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. I wonder what happened.
Who's up there right now? Oh, man.
Arctic and, I guess Tyronis? No, Delps. Maybe Delps had a moment here as Arctic is probably going to get past him. But I was going to say, Tyronis, I think, has been their worst... just the worst enemy right now. They're their worst enemy of themselves because the amount of track limits and penalties I've seen on Tyronis. So not to pick on them, but you know, maybe just goes to show how much practice that people are putting in. And we haven't seen Tyronis be too active in the series as of late, but I'm glad to see them show up and really, hopefully, they can get a better result than what they're running right now.
Yeah, it's always tough coming into the races as well. Maybe when you're not there consistently, right? So it for sure looks like the rain's gonna be coming here soon. If you're someone who starts complaining about your knees hurting when the weather's coming, if you can let us know if that's happening for you, that would be appreciated so we can get a bit of a weather forecast going on. Or you can also keep your eye on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, the moist meter, as I like to call it. You know,
I don't think anyone likes that, Wally.
If we start seeing that meter start filling up a bit, we know that the track conditions are changing and they're changing to become a bit more damp. So we'll keep our eye on that as we see Moose working his way past Crispy and trying to catch up to Winters in third place. But he's got a 2-second gap and he's got to get past Crispy's, who Crispy I think has seemingly been pretty respectful as far as letting these the blue flags, you know, pass. But it's also
blue
hard.
Flags. Yes, yeah. It is, it's difficult again. You don't want to hinder your race, and when you're racing, you're having your own race as well. It's tough. But I'll tell you, Tony Cal looks like he's got a clean track right now. Tony Cal has cut down that gap to Arctic down to 12 seconds. It was up to almost 17 before, I believe.
Yeah, 16
so
change.
That's looking good. That could be a result of Arctic having to work through some traffic, but right now they still have a clear field ahead and behind them, so Tony Cal can really hammer out some laps maybe and close that gap. We have a long way to go, and it looks like the rain will be coming sooner rather than later, I think. Some strategy may really come into play here.
So, we're on board with Beeman right now, and he's on softs. They're warm, but they're not, dead. And his fuel's used. He's definitely got a few laps left in him. But seeing that the rain's going to be coming in soon, I mean, you don't want to be. He's going to, do you start short shifting to try to make the fuel last? He's not going to catch specs at the moment. He's 31 seconds behind. He's got Labu almost 4 seconds behind him, so he doesn't want to give up that pace. But he also wants to, you don't want to pit before the rain starts coming at this point. If you pit, maybe just pit for fuel if need be. But you definitely don't want to be doing both, because then you're just going to be pitting once again when the rain starts coming down. This is a position I wouldn't want to be in. And obviously, it's hard to tell when the rain's coming, right? It's not we can say, okay, at lap 35, it's going to start torrential downpouring. But this is not where I would want to be if I were Demon.
No, of course not. I was going to say, though, obviously we have a literal gauge, which we don't get in real life, to see exactly how damp it is, which, yes, you'll feel in tires and how your car behaves. And also the softs may be starting to last longer but not feel as good because of the cooling track temperature. But, you could still use the slick tires with a bit of dampness. You have to be a little bit more careful, but you don't have to be afraid about jumping onto the intermediates right away. However, if you are using that radar and you see heavier rain coming, then that's when you say, okay, maybe these intermediates won't be in effect for this lap, but the next one they're really going to come into play, and you can take advantage of that, right? As long as you don't tear up your intermediates on a completely dry track.
Yeah, that would be the worst part, right? Is trying to predict that the rain's coming in sooner than it actually does, and then you're just running intermediates you're wearing intermediates. There's slower tires, and that's just not something you want to be doing. I just actually noticed that Tyranus and Arctic are both running the Peugeot, and we have Peugeots on both ends of the grid right now.
Yeah, there is a Peugeot sandwich. What constitutes a French sandwich besides it being on baguettes?
Probably butter.
Brie? Is that French?
And maybe a bit of Revolution.
La Cigarette?
Or, there's a lot of stuff going on over there right now.
There is a lot of stuff going on over there. The French, very passionate about their retirement age. I don't blame them. They're very happy to protest, though, which I like, and I wish American protest kind of turned out a bit more like the French.
So anyway, back from this political break, omelette
du fromage. Dexter's Laboratory there. Go ahead, Wally.
Classic. So Crispy's kind of in the same situation as Demon, except for the fact that he's got Steezy behind him. So again, not some place you want to be. Steezy's got some back markers behind him, and Purple right up behind him. Purple coming out of nowhere. Specs trying to get by Steezy. There may have been a bit of contact there. It's kind of hard to tell. A bit of contact maybe from Purple and Steezy. So that's a little bit iffy. Did I do that?
Did I do that as Purple Urkel goes by? I gotta say, I don't know that Steezy is really being too friendly with these blue flags. Maybe making it a little bit harder than he needs to for the drivers in front. Well, who should be in front. But it looks like right away Specs is creating some space between himself and Steezy. So going right up after Crispy now, who goes wide, Crispy, on that last turn, or penultimate turn.
Crispy,
that's a tough turn. Then there it is. There's the track limits for Crispy.
That's unfortunate, yeah. Especially when it starts getting wet. That final turn is dangerous.
Absolutely, as it looks like Tony Cal has a turn 1 track limit as well. It's not great.
Oh, brother. Tony, track
not great. Yeah, the gap to now to Arctic is 14 seconds, and they haven't even served it. As Tony Cal looks like he's getting close to whatever back marker he's behind. Maybe that's Tyranus. Let's see. No, it is Delps up in P10. Okay, so Tony's though doing work. He's closing that gap, which is really good to see. Specs is coming up behind Crispy with the blue flag. So so contact there. Crispy maybe thinking I wasn't planning on giving you that spot just yet, but it looks like they made it out okay.
Man, that penalty is gonna kill Crispy, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate to see because Crispy, as much as they've been in P11 for a while, that's honestly not terrible, right? To at least keep your place, you're not losing it. So.
No, but unfortunately, he's got two guys right behind him who are just fighting at, like they are hungry and they just want to take that position as they will right now. Purple gonna have a run in on Steezy. Steezy gonna give that position up or not? Ooh, we get a bit of contact. Steezy going there. No damage on Purple's side, but Steezy going wide eventually and then having to give up the position. Steezy had Purple, had the inside line there, and maybe Steezy just wasn't expecting that, or he, was a new line for him to try and, oh no, we get some more contact, pushing Purple wide, and oh no, Steezy stops on the line, causing Crispy to have contact as well.
Holy.
Crispy looks like he's okay. Purple is now ahead, and Steezy, no damage, surprisingly, but this man is, that was a bit rough at turn one there. I don't know if that was just...
as we're seeing another wave of people pit stopping the front markers.
Yeah.
So that was a lot going there.
That was unfortunately quite a bit there. I don't know if it was a mixture of slipstream and worn tires. It doesn't look like the track is getting any... it doesn't look like... it looks like the track wants to be wet, but we're not seeing anything on the UI just yet saying that it is. So, man, that was unfortunate. I'm glad that nobody, ended up getting damaged or really got taken out, but... Crispy now up here on Purple, and while he's really close, he's gonna have to pit here. So I don't know how much he really wants to put. Oh no, he's getting a little side. Maybe the grass is getting a little greased up. I'm not really sure, or it's just the tire wear thing. But
it's funny because at the end last lap, I was gonna say how if I were Crispy after serving that penalty, I just would have pit then and there, to be honest. But as we know, Crispy is not one to pit earlier than they have to.
Not at all.
And it is what it is, and I think they would have played out better for them had they pit, but that's all right.
All right, so let's see. Tony, Arctic just got out of the pit, says Tony is in the pit healing up, and we'll see what this gap ends up being as Tony is going to be leaving the pits here momentarily. Vin, Rick, what is going on, my friend? Late, but you're here. Appreciate you joining. And we had some bumper car action there for a minute there. You joined just in time as we saw Arctic maintaining first place here, and now a 17.5-second gap. Tony again got to do a lot of work and hope that Arctic screws up, but at the moment that's not happening. We are hoping for some rain, Vin. It looks like it's gonna come. We're doing the rain dance, anything that we can do. But I'm just gonna start getting this on the trackside spectators to get some super soakers and start just shooting the cars with some water and see if that can make things a bit more interesting for us.
Now, interesting strategy choice. We're seeing a lot of people come to the pits. I don't think Crispy cared for those BDMs too much, so he's back on the softs that he started with. Notably, Specs went soft, medium in this last one. Really interesting, especially as, we keep saying it, we keep expecting rain to come. Maybe it's not, and they're taking a gamble. But I want you to come down and look at Giller, who's now down in P7. They are killing the management game.
Always. That's what Gilly does, I think. That's just what he does. It's really impressive because every single time we jump on board with him, like how does he have he's getting highway MPG on a racetrack.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's really just wild to see though. Again, they're up in P7. Do not count them out. That's all I'm gonna say again. Do not count them out. I'm super excited to see where this goes.
I'm excited. Unfortunately, this is gonna be a very tiring race for Gilly, I think, at the end of the day, because he's had to work so hard to get back up there, but he is doing extremely well to get this track position back. And I think softs at this point are a good call. Like you said, Crispy changed from those mediums to softs. The rain has got to be coming, right? We know It's on the schedule at some point. We do have about 17 laps left in this race. It's got to be coming. So why bother going on a tire that, you know, if you can get the most out of the softs and just kind of wear them down, use them up, and then eventually, hopefully, pit for some intermediates or even full wets if need be. You know, otherwise you're just sacrificing pace for no reason by being on a hard tire.
Absolutely, I agree. And as we see, Delbs jumped into chat while they were pitting. Pace not there anymore. I'll explain later why. I'm curious to hear why. But when they did pit, I saw that Delbs came out right, I believe, around Steezy Nicks, I should say, and Winter was right there with the blue flags, and Delbs did a great job getting them out of the way. Actually, Winter flashed them a couple times, and both Steezy and Delbs worked together to leave the space and let the front marker go by. So that was just good to see. Just something I wanted to know. I love seeing that, and I want to see more of it.
Well, I can see it. So we're on board right now with Labu. Bit of lag, so it's hard to tell if people are just rubber banding or if there's any sort of contact. However, it looked like Labu was right behind Specs, and then all of a sudden Specs was a good half-second faster. So I'm not really sure what happened there. As Labu unfortunately goes wide at P1, and any run that he was having on Specs is gone, and Labu's going to get that half-second penalty. So I thought we might have some action to watch, but unfortunately, Pumpkin Man.
Well, you could go jump on board, Wally, with Winter, who is chasing down Tony Cal. The gap is down to 1.5 seconds. Looking really enticing there, not going to lie.
Winter, for their first race here with Ames, has proven to be quick, and it's definitely something that we kind of expected, at least, I think, because they've at least been chatting in the Discord, and, you know, you've been able to hear a bit about their, you know, what they're doing. But yeah, I don't know if is he flashing Tony, or is that just from the hill? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he's telling the.
No, he's definitely been flashing unintentionally as well as intentionally.
Okay.
I wonder if he's trying to intimidate Tony Cal, or I can't imagine Winter is on a controller, but if they are, it's mapped to the left joystick, I think, so it's commonly hit when you are turning in.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a possibility, as Winter does have a half-second track limits penalty. It's definitely not going to help them out on their fight to Tony.
No, hey, man, that was a quick second, apparently. Let's just note, though, Tony Cal, I think, has had the fastest lap this entire race. No one has been seemingly able to change that, so even if Tony doesn't get first place, he's going to be taking 2 extra points from pole position through quali and the fastest lap for the race. But kudos to him of whatever setup he did on that NSX worked, because he's very quick around the track. Unfortunately for him, I mean, you know, it was a mixture, I guess, of track penalties. I didn't get to see if he went off anywhere, but like we said earlier, Arctic got first place, and he just maintained it right now.
It's the worst thing you could do is let Arctic get in first place and stay there unrivaled. Quite different to what we saw in last week's MX5 Cup Series race around Watkins Glen, where we did see Tony, Moose, and Arctic fighting nonstop for like almost the entire race, second race. But right now, just no one's got an answer to his pace.
Not yet. We'll see what happens. We'll jump on board with Purple, who's in 13th. Real quick, trying to have a run in on Tyronis, who's currently up in 12th. Maybe it looks like Purple just has recently pit. I assume if we will check on Tyronis, he probably needs to pit. But at the same time, we have a blue flag for. I couldn't see who was behind Purple, but you know, again, this is that difficult position where
Gaylor, it's P6. Okay. Gaylor's all the way up at P6 now, and that is the front marker that's trying to get past with those blue flags.
Yeah, so that was unfortunate timing for Purple, but you know, as far as having to give up that track, giving the way for Gilly to get ahead, because he was really close to Tyronis. But if we jump on board with Tyronis, he's going to be pitting soon, well, somewhat soon anyway, and he's also going to have to give the position to Giller, so we'll see if he slows down as much. That just seems like that's a really unfortunate place to have to give that position, because not having the speed on that straight, man, just kills that turn in and everything. It's it's a place where you can make up a lot of time.
Oh, absolutely. I do believe Labu had just pitted recently, or am I making that up? They pitted recently. They put on new tires, but they forgot to fuel up.
That's a big oof if I had to put a size to it.
That is a massive oof. That, I mean, I believe I saw them in the pits earlier.
Unless
That's
it was
amazing.
Unless it was a gamble, right? I mean, maybe they were maybe they're looking at the weather forecasting, maybe not, and maybe they're anticipating some rain. And
I'll update you in just a second. They're exiting the pits now. No, so they pit for mediums before. They did one lap for their compound change requirement. Came back. Am I reading this right? Yeah. Did one lap on mediums and came back into pit for fuel and softs again.
Ooh.
That is a strategy. I'm not sure that's it, boss.
That is an extra large oof. Then I take back my previous sizing.
Yeah, I can't imagine that was intentional.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just. Though you gotta say, I mean, yeah, we're getting to the tail. I mean, not the tail end of this race, but we're coming up on it at the very least, and it hasn't rained yet. So if anyone's been running the same compound the entire race, they're gonna have to change at some point if it doesn't rain.
They're gonna have to think about it, and I'll tell you what the people in P1 and P2 are betting on that raid, and P3. Both Arctic Tony and Moose have not swapped from softs.
Wow.
As far as I could tell, yeah. I may have missed something. Unfortunately, you can't see all the drivers in one screen, so you kind of got to scroll around for it. But I'll check out Arctic. Yep, they're all three still on soft, so I don't think I missed anything. Just incredible to see. But again, maybe they were just betting on that rain. I mean, it's very possible. Oh my gosh, it's Winter having a run on Tony Cal around turn one now.
Boy, let's check this out, man. All right, as we see, so they have a backmark run in front of them with the penalty, so they will be getting by some point soon. We're on board right now with Winter having the side-by-side, pulling alongside side-by-side with Tony Cal coming up to the second turn, and Tony Cal is always blade braking going into this turn. Is he gonna make it? He makes it. Oh wow, that was a fantastic braking by Tony. Fantastic,
yeah, that was impressive.
Now, obviously, I mean, Winter was on the inside, so he had to brake sooner. But that was extremely good by Tony to maintain his track position for now. But Winter having a great stint right now, unbelievably great stint right now to be catching Tony at this pace.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. Like we said, that was just a 1.5 or 2 second gap before, not too long ago.
And Sakia thankfully giving track position to these two. Tony flashed him, and they got it right out of the way because this is a position where Tony cannot afford to be getting slowed down by anyone at this point. Takia knew that he had two guys right behind him that were ahead, and he was going to be forced to take a penalty anyway. Say, all right, you guys take it. Go ahead and run with it.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty amazing. No way. Giller taking the gamble, the first one to come out on intermediates.
Ooh, we're gonna get some rain possibly, man. I mean,
holy!
He has to have been checking that radar then. We can't see it on stream, unfortunately, but he has to have been seeing that. I am excited to see what comes of this.
Yeah, that is a bold call, as we've not seen anything.
Did you see that move that Winter just pulled on Tony Cal? Took the inside line on turn one, and is now ahead going towards turn two. Tony Cal is down into third place now.
Yeah, that was a bold move. I mean, again, if you could get that line right, it's Tony Cal, again, late braking here, taking the inside. This will give Winter a better exit, which probably is what gave them that speed. Again, they're right behind. These two are going to have at it for a little bit longer.
These two are definitely going at it. We're side by side going to the next turn as well. Now, this is when, again, there's a couple of different lines. Most people seem to like the inside line better as Tony Cal squeezes through and is making the most of the track before it gets really, really wet, I guess. And he's going to take second place back here. These two are going to be trading places real quick for a few laps here. I wonder, though, I mean, Gilly was first to go to intermediates, so obviously there's some rain coming on the forecast. We got some nice fighting, like Marino said in chat here, and I'm interested to see, are one of these two going to gamble and pit for intermediates early like he did, or are they just going to fight it out until the absolute last second, or until someone gets a penalty, or maybe slides and goes gravel? Tony Cal may be getting track limits for that turn there. I'm not sure if the game's going to give him one or not. I think he might.
I'll tell you, we also saw Sakia pit. put on intermediates. So maybe they're seeing something, the same thing as Giller, and saying, interesting though, the two Mercedes drivers putting for intermediates.
Interesting. Maybe he's just saying, hey, he's got some pace. Let me follow him. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
As we see once again, Tony and Winter side by side coming up to this turn, and this time it's Winter with the inside move.
That was like an old switcheroo. I think he attempted there. Tony Cal getting a better exit. Look at these two though, side by side. Once again, as they're coming down to P3. Let's see what lines they decide to take.
We'll jump on board. Tony holding the inside. He goes, same kind of line from as last time from Tony Cal. As Winter once again holds P3 for now, and Tony just doing everything he can to keep him behind. We see some drizzle on the windshield of Winter, and as you can see on the bottom left, we got a little bit of the moisture meter, as I like to call it. Yeah, those rotors are glowing red hot. And we get some drops of rain.
I was going to say, before about Tony Cal taking the same line. Tony Cal is a methodical racer. And the fact that he wants to juke you or, make you think he's going to do one thing. So this may be just part of his multi-lap strategy coming from Tony Cal and saying, I'm going to make Winter think what I'm going to do next. And then I'll just surprise him. Yeah,
he's definitely one that likes to play mind games. And, as of course we've spoken about before as well with the Tony Cal aura when he's in your rearview mirror. As these two are pulling up onto Gilly, who, like we said earlier, was the first to jump onto intermediates. Now, it doesn't seem like it's raining on this side of the track just yet, but I guess it's going to be coming. And at this point, you also got to wonder, though, Arctic hasn't pit. Would you want to pit before Arctic if you're Tony and Winter? Because to me, that's the only possible way that you're going to get ahead of him. And I mean, Winter definitely needs fuel as well. If we jump aboard with Tony, he's better off without fuel. But that may just mean that Winter pits at the right times for inters and can possibly undercut Arctic.
Yeah, I mean, see, they're going to have to pit. They're going to have to be brave and really make that happen before Arctic. What happened there?
I thought maybe it was just the trick of the camera changing or something like that. But I thought that I saw Tony get held up by Gilly and then Winter just taking the inside line. But okay, so Winter pits. Tony Cal gets ahead. And
we'll see how this goes.
We'll see how this turns out.
Giller probably feeling a little bit left out there. Normally used to racing up front with his buds, but the fact that they're already on the intermediates, of course they are looking a bit worse for wear currently because it's not wet everywhere. We'll see how it holds out for them, but again, I'm already seeing more and more people pitting for those intermediates.
Yeah, I'm sure that part of the track where it is raining is gonna be getting a bit greasy now.
Oh, as Demon actually pit, and they're coming back out on softs, I believe.
Man,
let's see once this updates.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
They are back out on softs. Maybe just gonna send it.
We'll see where Winter ends up. We're waiting. We'll jump aboard with Winter actually as he's leaving the pits on mediums.
Interesting choice. Maybe thinking that I'll get by for another 9 laps.
Maybe they're thinking that if that was all the rain they're getting. We thought it sounded like it was gonna be raining a lot heavier, but it's no guarantee, I suppose. It's hard to tell in game what the game's going to actually dish out. But if he's able, they'll definitely be able to take these mediums at the end of the race. So if we jump back on board, Boostman in third is pitting this lap with a second and a half penalty, unfortunately for them. So they'll be pitting. We'll have to see what they end up jumping on to. And Tony Cal also going to have to be pitting right now on the softs, but they're worn. So, I wonder how fast is he? He just put in a 129, a high 129. Obviously not having the pace that you would if you were on fresher tires. We'll see.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We'll see if staying out is going to pay off. I don't know if that's going to be the best call though, because he's going to have to make up this ground as we see Mooseman coming into the pits now as well.
Moose is coming to the pits. Moose has also got a 1.5 second penalty ahead of them, which is really unfortunate because we see Winters coming down the main street now as Specs goes into the pits, who was just fighting them. and this is going to give Winter right back up to P3, and Specs is going to be too far behind Boostman to fight for it.
So we'll have to end up seeing. So right now, Winter is about 35 seconds off of Tony. Tony's going to have to pit within the next couple of laps. Maybe he's holding out a bit more for. Obviously, Tony had more fuel than Winter did, so maybe he's holding out for more rain.
Yeah, it's very possible. Tony Cal still doesn't have to change compounds, as does Arctic, though.
Arctic is currently in the pits.
Oh,
right
as
now.
Arctic's in the pits, yeah.
So we'll see where he ends up. Tony, if he were to pit right now, I think Winter would still pull ahead.
I think so too. I mean, it's absolutely.
Marino saying, I really do like Tony's racing style, not gonna lie. Yeah, he does a really great job. I remember watching the race last week and seeing how he would even, it was the MX-5 race at Watkins Glen, and just how he was even trying to break the toe down the front straight, down the start-finish straight, and because the toe is really strong on those cars, on the Miatas, and seeing him break that, it's just another strategy that you can kind of deploy, I suppose. We see Gilly going back in the pits, maybe changing tires. Unfortunately, taking a gamble, and it didn't pay off for him. Tony Cal
I think
now
so,
in the pits
unfortunately. Too. Yeah, Tony Cal's in the pits. He's fueling up currently. Delp's also coming back in the pits, look low on fuel.
Winter has a moment in the final turn. Tony Calsby getting into the pits here, and this may be battle for track position as Tony Cal is exiting the pits. We'll see where they both end up as we're on board with Tony Cal. Winter, I don't think that moment may have cost him the possibility of being right next to Tony Cal as he left the pits. He got a bit squirrely at the very end.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Again, and seeing Giller coming out in P8 now, they're back on the softs. Unfortunately, I was looking at their track times too, pre and post intermediates. It was about 6 seconds off. It's just too much for not enough rain, unfortunately.
Listen, it's a gamble you had to make.
And technically, it's a compound change because it wasn't wet enough to require them. So I think that counts.
I'm not sure. I guess technically, yeah.
And actually we see Sakia doing the same thing, coming out on softs. So the AMG bros may be doing some strategy together. I'm not quite sure, or just thinking alike.
Maybe. We're just working our way down the line real quick as the grid is pretty spread at the moment. I gotta say, kudos to Demon for the race he's run, because I forget where they qualified, but to be holding 7th, he's been in no man's land, I feel like, for most of the race, and he's been consistent for the most part. It looks like, and being able to maybe not taking a lot of track penalties either will help out. Labu currently in 6th, but does he need to pit? He will need fuel for sure before the end of the race. Maybe able to make those softs last, but he'll definitely need fuel, I think.
Yeah, I know Demon was riding up in 5th for a bit earlier, but Labu seems to be doing pretty well for themselves. Unfortunately, I think Demon got 7th place maybe a bit easier because Giller had to pit a second time to get rid of those intermediates that just were not working out. Yeah. It's unfortunate for Giller. Took the gamble. Again, we all thought we were going to see more rain. We were told it was going to be quite a bit more hectic than it is.
Yeah, I think the game keeps lying to us. Marino saying keeping pace for so long in no man's land is no easy feat. No. You're definitely I know for me, when I'm trying to run laps, it's just like you're your own worst enemy. You're fighting those inner demons, and whether they be worn tires or just bad driving. And it's definitely not easy. So even for someone like Arctic, who has just been ahead for most of the race at this point, and has just been consistent and not really making any mistakes that we've seen on screen at the very least. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of concentration. These are long races, 90-minute races. It's nothing to scoff at. Or that chore you forgot to do. Yeah. So you have to give it to these guys for doing these consistent races. Someone that we also really have to shout out to though is where are they?
Who are you looking for?
Sakia.
Sakia's down on the team. Yeah. What? Sakia. Well, they gambled on the intermediates and it didn't work out, so they had to pit again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say they were having a hell of a race. before taking that gamble. And I mean, you can't blame him. You know, obviously we weren't able to see what the radar said, but they weren't the only ones that thought, okay, maybe I'll try to get a jump on the tire change, get a jump on the rain, but let's see here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see. I mean, hell, even Purple Oracle, it seems like they had something upset their race because they were racing a bit higher. I think still for me, Giller's driver of the day, just in terms of their consistency and their improvement overall, despite, you know, what their race might have turned into. Oh, as Tyronis had a moment, spins out there. Not a great spot, but Giller was able to avoid that damage.
Yeah, actually, I just saw that on my map, funny enough. I saw him facing the wrong way on the mini map. So right now, Tony's holding second. He's got 3.5+ seconds on Winter in third. And Tony is, if we jump on board with him, they're both on medium. So Tony and Winter are both on medium tires. I mean, that's, you know, is Winter good? Winter was rapid in his previous stint. I don't know if he's going to be, unless Tony has another incident or something like that, is he going to be able to catch Tony at all? We'll see. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Winter may also just be saying, okay, I'm going to try to fuel save here till the end. They only have 4 laps to go. There is a 10-second gap to Mooseman, so, you know, if they pit, they'll wind up at P4.
Yeah.
And they certainly don't want that, although, of course, Moose, again, if they don't do any fuel saving, they'll have to save. Now, Moose does look like they might be able to get away just pitting for fuel, as they've got a 22.5-second gap to Specs behind them.
They may be able to, Moose might be able to make it to the end of the race, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they got half a tank. I mean, Winter's got half a tank as well on mediums. Actually, the people in P1 through 4 are in really similar spots with their fuel and tire wear, so.
If I were Moose, I'd just be trying to fuel, you know, conserve a bit of fuel here and make it to the end.
Yeah, there's no risk. You know, there's no risk involved. Again, that 23-second gap to Specs, and for them to make up the 10 seconds means they're going to be burning through their fuel anyway. So I think Moose really should just, you hate to say it, but accept their P4. They had a really solid race overall, I think, and
just bring her home.
Just bring it home. Yeah, exactly right.
We jump on board with Specs here. Specs in no man's land currently, so again, just another bring her home kind of situation. He's got the same fuel, so again, you know, I think about half tank is where you need to be to bring it home. Probably in the red flashing, but you know, you'll be able to bring it home at least and cross that finish line.
Yeah, we do see a little fight here between Crispy and Purple for P10. Really curious to see how this is going to shape up, because Crispy is on the softer tire. They're quite worn, and Purple's got much nicer, much newer mediums, and they're both around the same fuel, so Crispy may be having a battle here, but will they be able to last to the end of the race?
Crispy's hungry for those points, man. I know that much, but he is a bit lower on fuel too, so but if you're pushing for position, you're pushing for a position, and you know, if anything, you try to hope that some of that pressure may affect Purple as he's pulling up side by side. Oh, and going into T1, can he brake in time, or is he gonna outbrake himself? No, he makes a turn and he takes that position from Purple. For now, however, we know that Purple's not one to just give up a position super easily.
Yeah, absolutely not. And I don't know. We're gonna have to see some bravery here from Purple, though, if they want to make a move on Crispy here.
Man.
Oh, outbreaking there, looking like some contact, or was that just some lag? I'm not quite sure if they made it away scot-free. Doesn't look like any damage on Purple's meter.
No damage on Crispy's either. Man, it's so hard to tell. It's so hard to tell with the lag. It's man, it's scary.
Yeah. But looking like they're both gotten away. Crispy just out racing right now, looking pretty good. Maybe having more confidence on the softer tire compound.
For now, though, yeah. I mean, Crispy's gonna have to. You definitely want to keep Purple behind him, but at the same time, he's not got a whole lot of fuel left. But you know, he's only got maybe three laps left. So.
Exactly right.
We'll see what happens. So we got Delp's ahead. Small penalty, but that's not going to affect anyone. He's coming in no man's land. We got Gilly up ahead of him. Same thing, just running his race at this point. Which it's kind of funny that this is what this turns down to. Wabu's got a 3.5 second gap, almost 4 second gap behind Demon.
And Labu's got a hessian track penalty that they were
so
serving.
I don't think we'll see him catching him either. Right now, we're just gonna go ahead and appreciate some deliverance, I guess, because that's what we got. That's what we got to do at the end of this race.
Yeah, we don't have much racing going on right now, unfortunately.
We had some good battles though. This is I guess maybe we'll have to just put in torrential downpour for the entire race at some point, because much like real life weather forecasting, the game clearly just lies.
Absolutely. Honestly, we see something wild come up in the last couple of laps. I don't think we're going to see anything that dramatic, unlike yesterday. We were up in Connecticut yesterday for a barbecue, and it just was downpouring.
It went from
for a good hour and a half to 2 hours.
It went from straight gorgeous to rain dumping on us. I kind of wish we could see that today here, but it's all right. We'll have another race possibly with a bit of rain. So it looks like Tony Cal is able to maintain that and actually increase that gap 4.5 seconds here between Winter and plenty of fuel. So these guys are going to finish the race no problem, unless we get a wheel disconnection, maybe a power outage, anything else that we can't really control. But again, gotta give kudos to our race leader, Arctic, in the Peugeot, in the purple and pink and white Peugeot.
Arctic, keeping it true to their name, cold as ice, nerves of steel, not letting up, really been relentless all race. I haven't seen any slip-ups from them, and having a really solid race as they're coming down the main straight up to turn 1 now, and just chasing back markers. That's been most of their race, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I guess they're kind of hunting, right? But they're hunting, but they're also I guess I have to bring it up again. No one's been able to touch that fastest lap as Arctic sets purple sector 1, but I don't know if it's gonna be enough.
Yeah, no, I've seen a couple purple sectors here and there, and Tony Cal, even the fastest race lap is about 1/10 off his qualifying lap. So
yeah, he was rapid today as far as lap times go, but maybe just
now Arctic is pretty low on fuel. I wonder if they're gonna go for that fastest lap fit for softs again, fuel up and just get it done. Actually, no, they can't. This is the final lap. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, they're just gonna burn through whatever they have left here, and I don't see them taking the fastest lap on the mediums. They're already those 6/10 up, right? So almost.
Yeah. That's good for Tony Cal though, getting pole position and fastest lap of the race. That's there's the 2 extra points that could really help him out. And as they had a strong race though, Tony Cal.
Yeah. Tony had a great race. Obviously, Arctic had a strong race. Winter being the newcomer, not newcomer, but his first race with us, having a very, very strong race as we see Arctic cross the finish line. We have Tony Cal coming in here soon as well.
Giller and Labu having a race at the end here.
Oh.
Switch to them quickly. They're coming up on the penultimate corner. Giller is in front of Mr. Labu, had quite a move on him. Let's see, Giller's going to be able to hold this out. I know. I like both. I love both of them. I think Giller is a stronger driver, and just play it clean, keep it safe. Here we go. Will Labu have any answer? I think that AMG has the legs on the McLaren, and they crossed the line.
I accidentally pulled a Monaco where I cut to Lance Stroll at the last second. I hit the wrong button, but that was a great drive by Gilly.
Fantastic drive by Gilly.
Holy.
A whole lot of work for P7, but they should absolutely be proud of that. That was really, really something to watch all race long. I wish we had an official one, but driver of the day, in my opinion, that's for sure.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
What the commentators say, go, right? So.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone knows that we make all the rules, for sure.
Anyone that's in chat that's been watching the race, listening along, who would you put as driver of the day? I'm curious. No reason to give why. You don't have to tell us why. If you want to, you can. But I'm just curious what everyone else has thought. Wally, overall,
safety car.
Safety car did a good lap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put me in party. Delps, we're just in Discord. We're not on a PlayStation party chat.
I appreciate that. We're actually going to be running here soon. But kudos to our race winner Arctic for another victory here, cleaning up these W's, man. I gotta give give them really, a pat on the back for that. Oh no, I didn't want to do this. Where are we going to? We're going to results. So here we are. Our results page once again. Arctic P taking first place, Tony Cal in second, and Winter their first race with us in third. So I mean, those are our podium sitters. Tony Cal with the fastest lap there. Again, no one else really touched that. Winter got close. Actually, Winter and Arctic got pretty close, but no one was able to shave another 10th off their lap, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race overall. We saw several different battles. Just like, I feel like we've seen for the most part of a race here where, we see the front runners and the back of the pack, and then we see, some people sprinkled in the middle, but there's not as many midfield battles as I thought we'd see, as I'd like to see, because we know it can get a little bit boring racing all by yourself. But it was a great race overall, and happy for the most part, besides those turn one shenanigans always coming out to play. Looked like a pretty clean race as well.
Yeah, I gotta say, we were hoping for some rain, but either way, we had some great battles. Delps, unfortunately, we do have to run because we have a family thing to do after the stream, but I appreciate the offer for sure.
Yeah, I would love to, honestly, but this is just not our day. We drove back from Connecticut today.
Doesn't know where that is.
Stream. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you to everyone for jumping in. It was great to see some face from Discord jumping in and chatting with us, and I'm sure we'll be seeing some of y'all race here soon. But thank you again, everyone, for watching. Check out the YouTube for some highlights and maybe some shenanigan videos as well. Ryan, anything left?
No, that's it for me. Thanks to everyone for joining out. We will have the VOD up on YouTube. Tony Cal usually does it, and we'll have it up. Looking forward to our next MX5 race. Let me tell you where that's going to be at next weekend. We're going to be August 6th at the Autopolis International Racing Course, the full course in Japan. It's going to be a fun race. There is no tire wear, no fuel usage, no safety car starts, just hard, clean, hopefully clean racing in those MX-5s, man. What a blast.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. We will see you next week. Have a great evening.
Cheers, everybody.